Hello, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to show you what I did to take my newly poured boring slab of concrete and turn it into a space that I want to actually spend some time on. I used Pergola hardware kit pieces supplied by a company called Antsky or Antsky. Got them off of Amazon. I'll put a link in the description so you can see what I'm using. Alright, the first thing you need to know is that I had some technical difficulties making this video. I was trying a new camera and apparently I had the mic setting in the wrong place, so I did not get any audio as I was doing this. I will go ahead and voice over this, but sorry about that. Taking a look at this right out of the gate, the top of this is 2 millimeters thick. The base plate is just over 4 millimeters thick. What that kind of translates to is about a 14 gauge top part and an 8 gauge base on this, and so pretty solid. It is powder coated all throughout, and it does have all the holes pre-drilled for all the anchor points. This is the upper portion. It's got left, right, and then the base going down. It is also pre-drilled. The pieces itself that the 4x4s go into are that 14 gauge steel again. And then in the inside corner, there's a spot where you can mount things to, and that's going to be your 8 gauge thickness as well. So one nice thing about this kit is it does come with hardware, both to attach the 4x4s. That's the black powder coated piece there, and it comes with the anchors for the concrete as well. Yeah, look at that, it fits right in there. I'm really good at videos, aren't I? So the black piece there, the bolt is about 1 3/4 inch long. It's got a 10 millimeter head to it. It's probably a 1/4 inch thick. I went ahead and did drill pilot holes on these just to make sure I had things as straight as possible. So for the concrete anchor itself, it's about 2.5 inches that is actually going to be under in the concrete itself. So you'll want to drill a hole probably 3 inches deep on that. It's got a 1/2 inch nut to it, and the shaft itself is about 10 millimeters wide. So you're going to want to drill a hole that's, you're going to want to use a 7/16 bit for that, which is around 11 millimeters. That'll give it room to expand as you tighten the bolt. So I started out by laying all the pieces out where they were going to go and trying to make this as much a one-man job as possible, which was a mistake. I'm starting with this M12 driver, which, side note, it's amazing. Pick one up. I've almost stopped using my 18 volt things and exclusively use this M12 now. It's got plenty of power. That's neither here nor there. Let's take a look at this. So I laid all this out, got it set where it needed to be, made sure I had the boards running the way I wanted, and then go ahead and get the top all fastened up and ready to go. Just a quick look, it does come with a nice, I think it's brad point drill bit for pre-drilling the holes if you want to use it. So that's another nice feature here. So just to get this started, I put just a couple screws in the inside. You can see the one there, and I left the other two open. I just wanted to hold it enough in place and then also have a little bit of flexibility so that when I put the vertical pieces in, that I could get them in a little bit easier, so I just left the single. I'm not sure what I'm talking about here. Probably just weld points, but we'll get it up in the air next. So as I mentioned, I tried to keep this as much of a one-man job as possible, and I realized right about here that I probably should have stopped and called for help, but I decided to keep going. So let's give it 10 seconds and see what happens.
It was at this moment that he knew. He f***ed up.
So I wisely decided to phone a friend, get some help, and after that it was pretty easy going. Just lifting it up into place and moving it to where I wanted it. After that, all it was left to do was do what, two guys do when you finish something. Stand and look at it and talk about it for 10 minutes about how great you are. And now that I've added a few things to it, you can see what it looks like. I'll go ahead and take you through some of the things I liked or didn't like, some recommendations I'd have, and tell you what I think about it. Once again, the pieces that I used were these base plates here that go into the concrete or your deck, and then obviously the upper corner pieces that form the top of it. So as I mentioned, these do come with all the hardware, both the actual mounting bolts and the concrete anchors. I did not like the concrete anchors. I'll show you what I switched to. This is what I wound up using, was just a standard screw style anchor. I'm gonna put some paint over these just to give it a little more rust proofing. But just use those, the blue coat with a zinc washer. The actual sleeve of the concrete anchor itself does not fit through the hole. So to do this, what you really need to do is you need to have this lifted up out of the way, drill the hole, bang it in, set this back down, and then tighten it. The problem is concrete is not an exact science to drill into. So on the ones over there, what I did was I actually drilled these holes a little bit larger. That proved to be really annoying. So I just went and got these and they work great. For me, because of the slope of the patio, I didn't want to set this until I had the actual posts leveled, which meant I didn't really have a good option to have the holes pre-drilled. I didn't want to measure them and pre-drill them. So that would be my recommendation, is to just go get a set of those. It comes with the ones, but we're talking 15 or 20 bucks. It'll save you a whole lot of headache. To me, it's not worth docking the star off of, because different people are going to have different applications anyway. The concrete anchors may not be what you need, but if the manufacturer is paying attention, something like this might be a better option, or just make that hole a touch bigger so that the sleeve can be inserted with this down and in place. I've got this sunshade up here. The corner brackets that you get from Antsky do have this nice little hole in them. I ran some speaker wire down through it. Unfortunately, my setup was just under 12 by 12. It's almost 12 wide, but it's only about 11 front to back. So that meant that I couldn't really use this, because this 12 by 12 sunshade is designed to stretch into place, which, as you can see right now on a windy day, it's not stretched. That being said, I'm probably going to just get a different one that's 10 by 10 and then use some of those threaded eye bolts that will allow it to be perfectly tight. But this works really well. It's a really solid piece, and it's gonna come in handy for sure once I get the right size sunshade up here and don't have to deal with the way I rigged it up. So now that I've had this up for a little while, what do I think? I love it. I would order these brackets again. I'm leaving this a 5-star review. Let me hit on the things that I would change. It's really only one thing. It's the size of these holes, as I mentioned. They're 10 millimeters, the same size as the sleeve. So I would, as a manufacturer, I would either change those to 11 or 12, maybe a slightly bigger washer, or do what I did, just get screws that go in the ground rather than the bolts that come with it, because they really hold just as strong. And as I mentioned, the brackets that hold the sunscreen in place, super solid. Make sure you order the right size. But at the end of the day, what you wind up with is a pergola that you can build to your specs. Mine, an 8x8 didn't work, a 10x10, a 12x12. None of those worked from a prefab perspective. And one of the biggest issues I was dealing with, quite frankly, was the height. So all the ones you buy out of the box are probably 8 feet tall. This one is 10 feet. And the reason I did that is that window, that bay window there, that's where it sits. And if I did a prefab, it would have cut right across the middle of that, blocking my view. The shade would have been in the way. This, really gives me that opportunity to have a pergola that works, not impede my view inside, still hang lights, still hang speakers, and all the things that make it a great place to entertain. Thanks for checking out my review. I hope you found it helpful. If you did, please leave a like, subscribe to my channel for more videos, and if you have any questions, leave them in the comments and I'll get back to you.